At KSMO Radio, time for our spotlight on the Salem Memorial Hospital. We're going to spotlight our lab.
Good morning, Stan.
Good morning. We've got Melissa in, and she has a special guest. And
Good morning.
It's going to be fun. All right, so anyway, well, guys, welcome. Good morning to you. I'm going to get that a little closer to you. I know you're bashful. Okay. All right. So, first off, Lab Week. It actually was last week, right?
It was. Historically, it's been this week, last week of April, but I think the ASCP, who's the sponsor of Lab Week, decided to change it. I think it corresponds with Lab Week in Canada. So
let's salute our friends to the north.
Yes.
Why not,
They'll be together. But, just a little tidbit here. The first Lab Week was started in 1975. So we've been celebrating for a long time.
Okay, so but let's be honest about it. The entire the operation of the hospital really centers around the lab, does it not?
Well,
I mean, for the most part. I mean, you've got to have blood work. You've got to have tests.
Well, about 70% of the decisions are based upon the results that we get.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of important.
Kind of.
It's kind of important. So very good. So Lab Week. But you spotlight not just the lab, but also the technicians and everybody that's associated with the lab, because there's a lot of people that make it up.
Right.
Because you guys got, obviously, a lot of different things to do. And everything says, everybody just probably thinks of a lab as a blood test, but you do many other things. There's all kinds of different types of tests that the lab takes, and you find out all kinds of different results, and they really pull a lot of different things out of blood that if you're looking for them specifically, you can really find out a lot about a person, can't you?
Right. So actually, it's Medical Laboratory Professionals Week. So that encompasses.
Oh my gosh!
It encompasses. We've got our phlebotomist, who is typically who you'll see, is
Right.
the person that draws your blood. It's lab assistants. It's medical laboratory technicians, medical laboratory scientists. It's our pathologists. It's histotech. So it's a large group that encompasses. Lab Week is.
So you said medical lab technicians, and you pointed to your special guest.
Right, yes. So a medical laboratory technician has an associate's degree.
I see, okay.
Versus.
So you introduce yourself.
My name is Dina, and I am the lead tech.
Lead tech.
Yes.
So how many techs do we have?
Right now we have, six, including me. So we have
Six, including you?
Yes, so we have 6 total.
Okay.
And that's our overnight, our weekend tech, because we never close.
You never sleep,
The
do you?
lab never closes.
Lab
We
never
are
sleeps.
24/7, no vacations, no closing. So it takes quite a few of us to keep the show going.
Okay, so my question to you, Dina, how did you get into the lab business? What made you want to become a lab technician?
Well,
You watched CSI on TV and you said, that's what I want to do.
No, actually, so I, like many people, when you go to the hospital, my first thought is, my doctor will, he runs those tests. My doctor will tell me what's going on. So I was that way, just like everyone is, until what made me get into it was a short story again, the short version of it. My father was in a car accident. My parents both were. He became a quadriplegic from that. And
sorry.
of course, that is a lot of testing. It's a lot of lab work. And unfortunately, there were a couple of almost life-changing mistakes done from that, errors. And so as I found out about that and as we looked into it, it made me think, I want to help. I want to not have that ever happen to someone else's loved one as it happened to mine. And so that's kind of what made me start looking into it. And so I did. I went to school. I went to school a little bit later in life.
Well, that's okay.
And I went to school, and luckily, I loved it. I love it. I absolutely love my job. We are behind the scenes, which is where I prefer to be.
Okay.
But yeah, we take care of a lot of, people don't realize all the testing that we do, and that even though I may not see a patient, that blood work, that specimen is It belongs to a person. It belongs to someone who is loved by someone else. It's just as important as seeing them face to face.
And the longer you stay in a position, and Melissa can probably tell you this, and we've had lab directors here, going back to Kathy Weldon, was here for a long time, and she would actually know your blood work, and if it came back that test wasn't right, she would call you and say, hey, I don't like what I'm seeing on this test. You need to come in and you need to give another specimen. We need to double check this because there's something out of the ordinary here.
Right, and that's exactly what happened with my father. Unfortunately, the people involved, the testing personnel involved, did not catch that. And that is something that we are responsible for, especially if it's a patient we've seen before, or if it is repeat testing, then I can go in and look and say, whoa, these two values are not, they're not vibing with each other. I need to look into it a little bit more. And as I said, unfortunately, in my situation, that did not happen. And so that carries over because, as Melissa said, your doctor makes very important care decisions on the values, on the results that we put out. So it's very important to just pay attention to all the details.
And it really is important that people also pay attention to their own details when you do get a chance to see your own blood work, and it is posted on the portal. You get a chance to see those results because you need to keep track of them. Years ago, before you didn't never hear what we're here for a health fair, were you?
No.
Okay. So the hospital used to do health fairs, and I kept all my results from every health fair that I had. So starting back in the 90s, oh gosh, that makes me sound old. But you can track and you can see right where your results were all those years. Used to be just one test a year, then went to two, then went to three. But I would go to every single one, get my blood tested, and see where it stood. So, there are certain things that some people say were odd. My uric acid always was high, and they're saying, well, you've got gout. I said, I don't have gout. I said, but my uric acid's high. But that's where it is for me. So that's fine. And once you see it in the same location for 32 tests, I'm pretty sure that's going to be your norm. What do you think?
I think so.
Pretty good idea.
I think so.
So when somebody would be new on the job who might see that high uric acid and say, hey, we may want to take a look at that. You say, no, that's just is normal. Because once you know your patient, just like a doctor, lab technician, because it's a lot of the repeat customers. We are in a small town.
We have our frequent flyers.
Yeah.
We know.
Especially in a hospital this as small as we are, we get to know them by
Right. And so when they come in, you have a pretty good idea what you expect out of that blood work. And if something is not right, you guys are the first to know.
Yes.
And then the doctor is the second to know.
We sound the alarm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and it's very important that is done. And I truly appreciate what you guys do because I think so many people don't even know you exist. You come in and they draw your blood. They don't ever see the lab technician. Never.
Right.
Whoever going to be drawing the blood that day, being a nurse or somebody else. And then they take it, they put it in a vial, and they put that little name tag on there, and they do it 3 different times, and you're wondering, are you ever going to stop, And it's just kind of fun. I don't ever have a problem giving blood, but I know some people do. So is there a secret to, and I know you guys have seen this before, I've seen people pass out as soon as that needle hits their skin. Is there a secret to have people relax doing that, or is it just a phobia they have?
People just don't like needles, and it's a necessary evil when they come see us sometimes. But typically, once you pass out, we know you. And when you come back, we're ready. Because, usually it's actually one of our phlebotomists. She'll sound the alarm, and we all come running, and we help get you to the ground if you need to. And we deal with it, but some people are just scared.
No, yeah.
And
But usually after you give blood the first time, you would think that they wouldn't be as scared, right?
No.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
And sometimes, just talking that patient through, especially if it is their first time, trying to get their mind off of what we're doing, really, it can help. But yeah, we know them, and so we'll keep some cold water on hand. We'll keep a little bucket in case they have to. Yeah, so
Now, some people have very difficult veins in which to draw blood from, we actually have a person here that has that issue. Very difficult to get them to give a blood sample because obviously they've had some issues in the past where it wasn't successful, and actually they have some collapsed veins, so it makes it a little bit harder to get that blood. But it's still a necessary thing. You have to draw blood, still take tests on people, right?
yes, and we do have some. When I first started out, I worked at a cancer clinic, and as we all know, those patients unfortunately are stuck just constantly.
Daily.
So we did have some tricks. We would just put some warm water in a glove and set it on top of there. Of course, making sure you're hydrated. Anytime you come get your blood taken,
Sure.
please make sure you're hydrated. That really helps us. Sometimes even just using an alcohol pad, I've noticed sometimes the cold gets it to come up.
But there's also, we don't just have to draw it from your arm.
No,
Right.
no.
There's
No,
lots of
there are other
places we can
veins,
get.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
right. A lot of patients don't like that, which is understandable. You've got a needle going in your hand. Sometimes it can sting. But there are a few tricks that we can use, and sometimes it's even getting a nurse to help out, or another tech to help out, or another phlebotomist to help out, and that seems to help.
Well, I know that I know the one time I think the last time I went to give blood, they wanted to make sure both arms were ready to go, and I said, you won't need that, and they said, why? I said, trust me, those 3 vials, they'll be filled in about 8 seconds. So you go ahead, but you stick it and go. And she didn't believe me. So when she stuck it, that thing, we're full. And she goes, wow, I never saw anybody. I said, there you go. I told you it wouldn't be a big deal. But there are people that you struggle to get that blood sample from, aren't there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've had to use feet. I've had to use right here. We have a vein right here, typically around your shoulder area. I've seen one from their forehead. Now that was a that was a special case.
Yeah.
I've seen them go on their neck. So
Fingers.
we're gonna get the blood somehow, some way. So,
You have to do it. They got to take those tests. It's very important, but it really is something that there's an art to this. I mean, people think it's just, you just go stick it in there. No, 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 no. They're the people who do this are very, I'll say, very talented, because for the most part, I think I've had one bad stick in my life where I think somebody got in there and they really were either brand new at it or they didn't do it very often, and it was not a pleasant experience. I kind of probably said, "Do you know what you're doing?" Which probably didn't make them feel very good. Well, they missed twice.
yeah.
So
And I will say, if you don't do it for a while, you can learn how to do it, and then if you're behind the scene, when we first start, we have to train as phlebotomists,
Sure,
as techs, and
sure.
so when I first started, I had so much experience, and then I went to a big hospital where I never had to do it because it was so big. They had so many phlebotomists.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never had to help, and so leaving that hospital, going to a smaller one, I had to kind of get back into the groove of things. It's kind of like riding a bicycle.
Sure
though.
it is.
You
Well,
eventually get there.
But Stan, I'm gonna tell you, don't expect me to draw your blood because it's been about 17 years. So I'm gonna leave it to my experts to do that for me.
I believe you, Melissa. I believe you.
Don't come to me.
We'll let Dina do it.
That's right.
Dina or the other 5 that
That's
you
right.
have. There you go.
That's right.
No, and I have said at Salem Hospital, I have never had a bad one at Salem Hospital, and I like to keep it that way. But, the other one I was talking about actually was in a St. Louis hospital, Christian Northwest. And it looked like they were rooting around for a vein. I said, it's sitting right here. You cannot see this vein? I mean, come on, dude.
Maybe they were new.
Oh, that was the only thing that I had to assume that
Yeah.
this is your first time, but you should have somebody with you that would tell you how to do this or what to look for, and not sit there and, well, I'm not finding it. Well, you can't see, dude. It's right there.
Well, we don't do that at Salem.
No,
just
no,
to,
no,
just to
no.
let you know, we definitely train our girls for
feel
a
the
while.
vein.
No,
to,
no,
yes,
no,
we don't
no.
just.
No, like I said, that was in
Let
St.
it
Louis, and it was not a pleasant experience. They finally got it, but it's just one of those things. That was about 40 years ago.
And you still remember.
And I still remember. I can still remember the guy's face too. I ever see him again. You know. Anyway, it was one of those things, but you don't forget something like that. And that can lead to a fear of getting a needle stuck in you too. It didn't with me, but for some, it did. I'm sure if something like that would happen to somebody, that they would feel a little bit tenuous coming in to give blood or something of that nature.
Well, they let us know when they sit down.
Yeah.
You've got one try, that sort of thing.
Okay, very good. All right, so tell us a little bit about an average day in the lab, real quick. I mean, I know that people, Dina, you were talking a little bit about how important it is for you to do this, but there are so many different tests that are done with blood. It's not just, okay, a lipid profile. I think a lot of people are more probably familiar with that. But blood is used to test a number of different functions of your body, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's over 2,000 different types of blood tests.
Tell me all of them.
No.
Maybe narrow it down to the top 5.
Oh, man. Okay, well, CBCs are common.
Okay.
We need to know if you have an infection or not. A chemistry panel will let you know how your electrolytes are doing and that such thing. And you said lipid panel. That's a common one. And some of the vitamins, D and B12, and for men, PSA, pretty
Right.
important.
For some men, testosterone tests
Yeah.
are being done.
Yeah.
And different things of that nature. And that the specialized tests can be done too. If you're looking for something in particular that you don't normally do on a lipid panel or maybe on a chemistry profile.
Well, I kind of want to talk about that for just a second.
Okay, sure.
And, so, I've been here a little over a year, and I've kind of heard some concerns from the community and whatnot about the amount of testing that we do at Salem. Like I said, there are over 2,000 kinds of tests that can be performed, and not every lab in the world can perform all those tests.
That's right.
However, our testing menu is pretty robust for our scope that we have here at Salem. The tests that we do are geared towards, giving the doctors the information in an emergent situation, things that you just need to know.
Right.
But I want everyone to be rest assured that the tests that the doctor orders that are kind of one-offs, we send them to reference labs.
Mm-hmm.
We use LabCorp, we use Quest. Where I came from, we had Mayo Lab, and there's several of them. But even the reference labs send things to reference labs. So I don't want anybody to be concerned that if the doctor orders a test that we don't perform in house, that it's not going to get done. We make sure they get sent out and reported appropriately.
But a lot of them are done right here in Salem. But
Like I
there
said,
are the exceptions, though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, PSAs. You were just talking about those. We send those out. Those are maybe not specialized, but they are just something because we're not just talking about the hospital. We're talking about instrumentation. Some of
Sure.
this instrumentation is very specialized. They're expensive. They're big machines. They require just a lot of. They require a lot of care, a lot of maintenance, and so that kind of scope, we don't have that here. Even there was a urine test that I just had to send out last week. We sent it to our reference lab. They had to call their reference lab to make sure that we were getting the correct specimen. And so, it's just no lab does every single test that is available out there. It's just not possible. It's such a big scope.
But what we do is good. Like if you come to the emergency room, we're gonna tell a doctor the information he needs.
Sure.
So
There's some basic blood work that can kind of give you, first off, is he stable or is she stable or not stable? And a lot of times, and in the case, I know when I had COVID, I came in and they did my blood work and kind of came back with your creatinine level a little high at 4.2, a little high, And then the doctor says, you're not going anywhere. You're going to the hospital. We're going to rehydrate you to get those kidneys working again. Kind of important that when you don't even know it, that's happening. That's why these tests are vital, because you may not feel it. You may not know what's going on with your blood, and
that becomes your norm. That's how you feel.
you just
every
accept
day,
it.
yeah.
Yes. And on a day, and it may be doing it on a very slow basis where you don't really notice that change. And so that's why you do get the blood work done. And then also you find out a little bit about your cholesterol, your triglycerides, things of that nature that may be clogging up those arteries a little bit, that maybe you need to take another test. And that's what's always been good when you get the full lipid profile. When you get that tested, go ahead and, if you haven't had one in a long time, I highly recommend you get one, because you do need to fast to get the proper readings, get it done, and then see where you stand. Because if you don't know where you stand, you just really can't treat anything if you don't know you have a problem.
That's right.
Kind of becomes catch-22, doesn't it? I don't feel good, but I don't want to take anything. You know, how are we going to know what to treat you with if we don't know what the problem is? So lab tests would be a real good way of getting that done,
That's
wouldn't
right.
it?
That's right. And one of my hopes, Stan, is to bring back the health fairs, and lipids will be one of the things that we would like to offer. We're getting ourselves together, so hopefully here in the next couple months we'll be able to put it on a health fair for the community.
Those were just so good to have, and it's a great way for the hospital to meet a lot of their patients, and they get to actually then see all the people behind the scenes a little bit, because a lot of the lab people are there. All of them, not all of them. There's always somebody at the hospital, so.
Yep.
But it's a great way to meet the people who take care of you, and that's always been a fun part for me. Because there's people that were new that I didn't know, and I'd say, who are you? And they'd say, well, who are you? Well, I've been here 40 years. How long have you been here?
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's always a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah.
But great.
Yeah.
National Lab Week. Last week, lab technicians, you guys do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You may not be told that to your face a lot because nobody ever sees your face, because you guys are kind of in the background. But I know I was in the hospital a couple times last year, and yeah, I don't like getting woke up at 5 in the morning to take
Morning rounds.
Come on, take what you need. But also, I appreciated all the good results that came out of those tests, and a good follow-up that I had. So I always appreciate that. Thank you for that. Melissa, thank you. And you've got some surgery coming up.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a bum back.
Well,
So while I'm out, she's driving the ship.
Well, Dina's the driver.
That's right.
Uh-oh.
All right, Dina.
She'll have me trained up by the
Oh,
time
I'm sure.
ready. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. Well, success with your surgery. And I want to thank you guys for coming in and spending some time with us. The lab department at your Salem Memorial Hospital is a vital and necessary way of finding out just how your health stands on a day-to-day basis. Don't ignore it. And if you need to get a lab test done, great place to go.
Come on in.
Come on in, whether it be at the clinic or down in the lab department. In both places, they'll sit you down in a chair and they'll slap you in there and say, "Okay, which arm do you want?" No. No matter what the lab test might be, and it could be a urine test, it could be any other test that you might need to have. They can take care of that for you. Great job. Ladies, thanks for coming in and spending some time with us on KSMO. Our spotlight on the Salem Memorial Hospital, brought to you as a courtesy of Inman Insurance. You guys have a fantastic day. If there's any questions about the lab, can they give you a call?
They sure can.
Go ahead.
Our number is 573-729-6626.
What's your extension?
4221.
4221.
Yes.
Yeah, you never call
I
the
never
hospital.
call.
I know. That's like me. I don't ever call the hospital either. But when I do, usually I have the direct number. And so it makes it a lot easier. But thanks, guys, for coming in and spending some time with us here on KSMO Radio. Stick around. We got Civic Happenings